Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And for the second of this video, we're going to be discussing a movie that's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year in 2017. And that's the 1987 film, Robert Williams film, Good Morning Vietnam. No, I'm not going to be screaming Good Morning Vietnam like Robert Williams did. Now this movie is surprisingly, since they don't really go for war pictures or wartime movies like Good Morning Vietnam is, but I really watched it because of Robert Williams. Because I'm a big Robert Williams fan, and it really was a tragic loss where he committed suicide a couple of years ago. But Good Morning Vietnam is actually one of his more trademark films, and he was actually nominated for Academy Award for Best Actor for playing Army DJ Adrian Cronauer. Now, of course, there is a video, and I'm not sure if it's still up, but there is a video on YouTube about the real Adrian Cronauer, and he just pretty much disputed everything that was in the movie. Because, like Good Morning, like so many other movies that Hollywood has produced, it's not 100% accurate. It's more trying to make it more. I don't want to say family friendly, but at least more box office friendly. That means if it's good and it's entertaining enough, people will come out and see it. And that's the case with Good Morning Vietnam, because there's a lot of inaccuracies in it with the real story. And it's going to take me too long. I didn't research it enough to really go into all the inaccuracies in it. I think one of the big ones was one of I should really tell what the story is about. What the story is about is Robert Williams plays Adrian Cronauer, who was in the army, and he gets sent to Vietnam to work on the army radio station out of Saigon, and the armed forces radio. So he works there, and immediately right away, boom, gets into controversy. Because that's what he yells, "Good Morning Vietnam," on the radio station. So, what is that? And the supervisor goes, "What?" Who run the station? What the hell is that? And he goes into this whole big real comedy routine. There are all these kind of crazy voices and impressions, impersonating Richard Nixon, and doing all these kind of crazy impressions and stuff. And the supervisor got annoyed for his brand, and he became a big hit. At least Robert Williams style comedy became a big hit with the troops, with the U.S. military, but the supervisors didn't like it because it's not PC. Even at that time, it wasn't PC enough. Because there's certain material that they didn't want him going into, and he goes into it. And of course, that's what everybody got, except for the guy who runs it. Not Adrian's immediate superior officers, who was played by Bruno Kirby, who also died several years later of a heart attack, like approximately 10 years later, something like that, of a heart attack. Complains about his comedy, and you had Noble Willingham, who of course is a character actor who's been in a bunch of movies, including ironically Bruno Kirby and City Slickers. Says, look, everybody likes him, so he's keeping the spirits up of our troops, so we have to let him stay in his job. Well, there was one incident where Adrian got into huge trouble and actually was suspended, thrown off, and almost nearly court-martialed for it. There was one scene about halfway through the movie where he's at a local restaurant and gets blown up. And he almost got blown up in it. But the guy, spoiler, who set the bomb off was actually helping was a Viet Cong agent. Or he works with the Viet Cong setting off bombs all over Saigon. And since Adrian became friends with this guy, or the Korea Kong bomber didn't want Adrian to get hurt, so he finagled him out, and so he wouldn't get hurt or possibly even killed when he set up the bomb, because he knew he set the bomb off in there, and so he got Adrian out of there. And then of course later on in the film, right after that scene, Adrian had to go on the air, and so he says, "Look, I want to tell the story on the air." And he says, "You can't. It's classified." I said, "Wait a minute. Look, where do you think you got this blood from? For shaving? You have blood all over him for people who were killed because he's trying to help. He trying to help him out after the bombing." And he says, "Where do you think you got this from? For shaving?" And meanwhile, he immediately went on the air and he told what happened. He said, "Bombing did not officially happen today. Rather sarcastically." And the supervisor says, "Son of a bitch," and they shut him down. And then he got all these no emails back then, but he got fan letters from the troops saying, "Hey, put this guy back on the air now." So he did, and they found that they had to leave. Eventually, had to leave anyway because of his association with this bomber. And so he eventually left, and he went back home to the United States, and that was pretty much the movie. But one of the subplots one of the inaccuracies that the real Adrian Cronauer complained about was the fact that there was this one particular subplot that he saw this hot Vietnamese girl walk down the street, and I believe she was the same actress. I may be wrong, but I believe that was the same actress who appeared in Rambo: First Blood Part 2, the agent who worked with Rambo, or the female agent that worked with Rambo in the second First Blood movie. I might be wrong, but I think it's the same actress. And so Adrian gets hooked up to teach an English class to his Vietnamese, to teach him English. Just because so you get close to this hot girl. That was not the case with the real Adrian. He said, "Yes, I taught English to some Vietnamese, but not so I could get close to this hot chick." That was just made up stuff for the movie. So that's what one of the many inaccuracies of the movie. He didn't yell and scream, "Good morning, Vietnam." He didn't go into all these impressions and all the typical Robert Williams style comedy that was throughout Good Morning Vietnam. He didn't go. I mean, he had some comedy on the show. He did play rock and roll, but not sure. Of course, his type of comedy is not the same type as you only had like one Robert Williams really. And of course, everything that Robert Williams said in the movie was an ad-lib. Another bit of movie trivia. And of course, you also had, and to mention, you also had a very young, one of the early appearances of Forest Whitaker, a virtual Oscar winner. Forest Whitaker in this movie. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe he was nominated for a Supporting Actor Award for Good Morning Vietnam. And he did, at the end of the film, when Adrian was eventually sent home for good, the Forest Whitaker character filled in for him and took over his radio show. But as a film itself, I thought it was all Robert Williams. He was practically in every scene of the film, at least most of the scenes of the film. And of course, his comedy is what drove the movie into a popular film. And originally, I didn't think we would like it because actually, of course, like I said, it's a war-based film. And it was in the early days of the Vietnam War in 1965. So it's like in the real early days of the Vietnam War when it was starting to really, really build and go full blown into a full blown war. And of course, Adrian provided a type of comedy that was good for the troops. And there was one particular scene that I actually kind of liked, where it was at the time where, like I mentioned earlier, where Adrian was suspended for mentioning the restaurant bombing that I mentioned earlier. And so Forrest Whitaker says to him that he had then they fought to get him back on the air. No, the Forrest Whitaker character fought to get him back on the air, but and also Robert Wuhl, because they was like a Batman and Bill Durham and other films. He's also in Good Morning Vietnam. He also fought for Adrian. Plus, of course, a lot of the troops sent in mail to the Armed Forces radio station in Saigon. So, hey, why don't you put this guy back on the air? The guy and because Bruno Kirby thought he was funnier than Robin Williams, and his comment, everybody says he sucks. And it was horrible, and he kept playing polka music instead of the rock and roll music that Adrian was playing. And so Robert Whitaker tells Robin Williams, hey, we all fought for you to get back on the air. So all of us fought for you to get back on. And now you're back on. I said, look, I don't want to do it anymore because of what happened in this bombing. And I said, because if I say something else, they're going to be gone for good, and they all hate me, they all want me out. And they all want me out anyway, so I figured give him the easy out. And so Forrest Whitaker says, why don't you come with me? So he takes him in a Jeep and visits all these troops. And he's talking to them and says, hey, we all like you on the radio, we all like you, we all think you're great, we all think you're funny, you play great music on the station, and you really entertain, you make us feel better, you make us we don't feel as homesick as we do because we listen to you and you're funny, you talk about or your impressions and your comedy bits and all that stuff. And then he says, oh, okay, I'll go back on the air. And that's when Adrian decided to go back on the air, and then he talked to all these troops. And I thought it was a pretty good scene, but especially the way he was entertaining the troops. And of course, years later, after 9/11, when the Second Gulf War started in 2003, Robert Williams was kind of like a 2003 version of Bob Hope. Because now you've got to know who Bob Hope was. He was a comedian. He lived to be 100 years old, and he entertained the troops throughout, I think, about 3 wars. Through World War II, through Korea, and Vietnam. And ironically, Vietnam. During his comedy routines, and comedy acts, and singing to the troops. And so, this particular scene reminded me of what Robert Williams used to do with the USO, and what Bob Hope used to do and entertain the troops. In this little scene where all the troops were on these buses and transport ships and jeeps and everything else, going through, coming out, making fun of people's names, and how there was one particular troop member who was stuttering and Robert Williams was making fun of his stuttering. But even though it's a 30-year-old movie, and you could argue about could be dated, no one can relate to this movie anymore, and all the inaccuracies, it's still a good, entertaining film. It has a good story throughout the whole movie. And I do recommend anybody see it, especially if you have to be a Robert Williams fan and see one of his better roles. So that's my review of Good Morning Vietnam. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos and on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. That's all WDY, and then C.com. There's a homepage in the Rally Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore. You can check out all of his material on his website as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.